Welcome back everyone to more of our custom career mode and VR gameplay. We're coming off a very fun race at Daytona and a great finish overall. And of course we know that's going to mean some big money. Now as always, anytime we have to do a green flag pit stop because the caution clock didn't work as intended, that was due to a miscalculation on my part in the number of laps remaining when it was going to throw the caution, so it didn't trigger. All of that was a miscalculation on my part, and I must say, I'm happy that it worked out the way it did because green flag pit stops are just fun. Now, it's a complete adventure. It's like going into the great unknown for me, trying to do a green flag pit stop because I'm coming in and I have no idea where our pit stall is. And the countdown that we get, the 5, 3, 1, from the spotter is not extremely helpful. In fact, where we ended up pitting was about 4 or 5 slots in front of where we got the countdown. But it is so much fun to do that. In fact, I'm thinking we just leave the caution clock off going forward and just roll with the green flag pit stops. And as well as being an adventure, the green flag pit stops at Daytona happened actually quite awesome. Everybody pitted over about 4, 5, 6 laps total. Instead of trying to all come in together and having a big mess, they actually worked it out quite nicely. So there's apparently been some updates to the pit behavior of the AI since I've tried to do anything like this at a plate track. So let's go ahead and take a look overall at the numbers from Daytona. And remember, we get to sign a sponsor based off a great finish. So let's go ahead and take care of that. First of all, we started 15th. And then as we move over to the incident count, we had no incidents. I don't even remember any incidental contact other than obviously we did a little bit of bump drafting throughout the race, but no contact at all for us. However, a few guys at the back of the field did have some serious contact. I remember Ty Majeski, who I believe finished last, had 6 incident points. So apparently they really got into it, and that's why he lost some laps. So that's good to hear. It wasn't pit strategy that lost him positions or laps. It was contact. So now as we come into the finish, a top 5. 5th position, there it is, almost $100,000. These are the types of paydays we need if we're going to be able to take that next step forward in our next season and move out of the trucks and either into Xfinity, or maybe we can squeeze into Cup. We'll just have to wait and see how all that works out. But now you can see right up here, it says check sponsorship for available sponsors. Let's go ahead and move this on to number 2. And the reason I'm going to do that is because as soon as we sign a sponsor, if I leave this at 1, it's going to dump sponsorship money here for Daytona. So I'm going to go ahead and move past that because, well, we didn't have a sponsor for Daytona. The very first race. So I'm going to go ahead and move it to number 2, and let's head over to the sponsor hub. This ought to be some really good opportunities. There you can see our average finish, well, just one race, so it's a top 5. So look at these numbers. I really, really like these numbers. So we've got 3 race contract, 4 race, or we can go 20 races. Now obviously this is way less than the other 2. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this one right here for a little bit less money. I'm going to actually go with DeWalt, $100,041 over 3 races. I'm going to keep it fairly short on the contracts here. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to see if we can prove that we can keep this average finish up here at this level. If we can, then hey, we'll have an opportunity much like we just did to sign another great sponsor. If we can't, then well, we're going to move our way down in our sponsorship money. But let's take a brief look at the sponsorship details. Of course, base pay, we've seen a little over 100 grand. If we were on the pole, that's another 10 grand. Top 15 bonus, 2,500, not bad. Top 10 bonus, 5 grand, very nice. And then of course, if we continue to get top 5s, that's an extra 10 grand. If we were to win a race, $25,000. That is pretty awesome. So as we hop back over, if we can continue to get these top 5, top 7 finishes, then we're going to make a lot of money in this season. And if you do a little bit of math in your head, we should be just fine as it comes to making a decision on our future when this season ends. But right now, I'm already liking this sponsorship money. Now, for those of you who might be thinking, isn't that a bit much for a truck sponsorship? Yes. But the way this spreadsheet is laid out is it really gives you an opportunity to, if you have great finishes, then you can earn a lot of money, and it gives you a lot of possibilities and a lot of choices about how you want to move forward and how quickly you want to move through the ranks from the very bottom tiers all the way to the top. And that's one thing I do enjoy. My personal preference would be that it was a little bit more realistic in the sponsorship money and we would have to grind it out for a little bit longer. But keep in mind, we're somewhere along video number 29, 30, somewhere in that range in this series right now. So I do want to get us to Cup so that we can get to the more popular races, the races that I'm hoping will get the most views. So that's kind of what we're working toward. So these higher numbers just help us get there a little bit quicker overall. And for the purposes of the series here on the channel, I think it's going to work exactly the way we want. So now, where are we headed next? Well, we're headed to Vegas. And we've been to Vegas before in the truck. It's one of those 1.5 mile tracks that we raced at in our abbreviated season previously. So Vegas, we should have something for them. I'm hoping with an adjustment that we've made to the AI skill spread, combined with the fact that we've already been there, we already have some idea of what to expect. I'm looking for big things. All right, folks, here we are. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor
Follow car
Speedway.
number 99 in the outside column.
You got it, boss. We'll follow him. So we're back for 70 more laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, but some things are different this time around. The skill spread is now 100 to 115, so we dropped that a little bit. Also, I've made a couple of changes to the setup, so we should be a little faster. Truck should be a little bit more on the free side. Hopefully not too much, because, well, the more you free this thing up, the faster it gets, and we're already so close to maximum AI skill. We don't want to have an easy victory. I don't want anything easy, so we're going to have to work for it. That is the plan. So anytime I work on the setup, that's what I have to keep in mind, is that we don't want to get too fast. Now, that's not an issue at every track, but certain tracks like Las Vegas, you do have to be careful. The other thing you will notice that's different today, no caution clock in the top right-hand corner. I was so impressed with the AI pit behavior at Daytona that we're going to try it again here at Vegas. And as long as everything goes smooth, that's the way I would prefer it. And then we'll save the caution clock maybe for use occasionally or special events, something like that. But if we can do it all under green, then I'm all for that. All right, here we go. Let's get this start in. All right, okay, that wasn't bad.
Green, let's go.
We always get the start and the stop behavior, a little bit of brake checking, that kind of thing. But that time it wasn't too bad. This thing, especially when you start hitting those bumps, it gets loose.
Outside.
But right now, not too bad. You can see they definitely have a little bit more speed than me here for the first lap or so, but we very quickly get back to them. Then we get to find out what kind of speed we've got. What kind of pace do we have? Can we move up the field? Remember, we finished just inside the top 10, I believe 8th position. Our first time here. Oh, look out. Yep, that's a little loose right there.
Got one inside.
That's one of those times where you're just trying not to turn the steering wheel. Hope we got somebody underneath.
Right, clear inside.
The leader has just done a 31.0 V12.
All right, where I really want to be is in the second group. That's where I want to be, or even up into the third
Your
group.
refuel window will open on lap 26. It'll close on lap 66.
Even up a little bit higher like this through the corners. I think this is where I really want to be. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the fastest, but it is a good bit more comfortable up there than it is right on the bottom having to fight those bumps. Unfortunately, I don't see the wall as being a viable groove
Rewind, you're on top.
as far as speed goes, but we'll have to see. It could be a passing groove
Clear.
when needed. All right, right now, so far so good.
Stop.
All right, these guys are getting 3 wide here in front of us.
Top 10.
10th position.
I'm going to stay, I want to stay up here around this second and third groove.
Still there. Clear outside.
And I know he said clear outside, but I'm still going to give him a little room up there. All right, the 23 said, yeah, I'm going to give you some room down it. Then he decided he was going to take it away. Then he changed his mind again.
Got one outside.
That's okay. We're still early in the race here. I mean, we're on lap 6.
Keep slow. Clear. Outside.
Let this thing hop around a little bit on these bumps.
Clear to stop.
Okay, Brian,
Got
your
one
water
outside.
temperature's creeping up.
Stay low.
Yep, water temperature's going to creep up.
Clear.
I mean, sort of the baseline setups that iRacing gives you for each track, they are very, very conservative on the grill tape, so I have increased that some, help the nose stick better, and certainly will free the truck up. Alright, so we are running in 8th position right now. That's where we finished last time, and you can see we are in great shape right now. Just trying to work our way through here, see what kind of speed we've got. So far, I'm still seeing that we're faster than the trucks around us.
Rewind, you're on top. Inside.
Wow, he went right where I wanted to go with that 22 truck.
Clear.
So we had to get on the brakes there. Had to back out of it. We'll try again. Really thought he was going to go to the second groove right about here somewhere, and I was going to go to that third groove, but was not to be. But no big deal. This is also the place where we had a lot of interesting behavior with the AI. We had some contact. Unfortunately, the avoid me option in the setting doesn't seem to do a whole lot for me.
Outside. Clear outside.
Alright, so we make the pass on the 22, which, by the way, is having a great run inside the top 10.
P7.
Now, let's get back up here. This second or third groove, and just this, I mean, the truck feels so good up here. And you can see we get a beautiful run off the corner. Let's back off. Nope, they gave us some room there. Did not expect him to.
Keep to the bottom. Stay low.
Trucks get really spread out here with not much of a spread. I mean 15 on the spread is not a lot. But at this track, it equals out to a lot. Because here we are on lap 11, and things are very spread out. All right, so let's get a check on where things are. So we've got Ben Rhodes in front of us, then John Hunter, Zane Smith.
Your lap time was 31.9.
All right, again, not worried about the lap times. So we've got Zane Smith, I believe,
the gap is
in second. Yeah, Zane Smith is in second, so I'm not sure who is in the lead. I can't quite tell. I've got a guess, though. That kind of looks like the 66 of Time Majestic. Kind of, but it's too far away for me to really be able to have any reasonable idea.
You've just done a 31.8.
Got one inside. Clear.
All right, so my plan for pitting is simple. Let's just split this thing in half and run around 35 and 35. And that doesn't mean we'll necessarily pit right on lap 35, but we'll somewhere in the neighborhood anyway. Of course, unless an actual caution comes out to change things.
P4. That lap time was 31.8.
Got one outside. Clear.
All right, there we go. We are in the podium position, P3. So at this point, we are 15 laps in.
P3.
Got one inside.
Okay, Brian. That's good consistency. Keep it up.
And I'm just going to stay up here in this second or third groove as much as possible because,
Got one
well,
outside.
that's where it's most fun for me.
Keep to the bottom. Good stop.
All right, truck's starting to get tight. And the way these setups are built for the trucks, they generally will start to get tight on entry, and then you still have to be careful with the exit
Good job.
P2.
because depending on how you drive it, it can still want to swap ends with you when you get back to the throttle. Now, we're under so much throttle here at this place. I mean, you're barely out of the gas at all. So it's generally not a huge problem here, but it can be if you're not careful.
You're gaining on this guy. The gap's now 0.5.
Yeah, it's starting to get tight for sure. So moving up the track will help a little bit because we won't be right in the wake of that 66. All right, we are definitely closing in on him. All right, we'll have to see what this means for the long run because, I mean, we're here. For the lead, we are here.
Inside. Too high. Stay right there.
So let's see if we can clear him and pull away.
Still there. You are the leader.
You're leading.
Good job. Clear.
So now we'll see, all right, can we pull away? And then what happens as the tires wear? Because we're about, well, roughly halfway through a fuel run now, or at least what I plan on using it for a fuel run. A total fuel run, I think, is about 45 laps. But for us, we're going to use about 35 laps as our gauge, since that's halfway through the race. So you can hear me, I'm out of the gas a little bit, probably about 3/4 throttle on entry to the corners just to let the truck settle. And then I'm right back in it. I don't hear anything up here. Okay, not too bad. Maybe no pebbles down there. I meant to change the setting that says that essentially you just keep the dirty stuff up top on the beginning of the race, but I can't remember if I did or not. Because I see no reason to start the race with all that junk up there. I mean, there's plenty of time to clean the track off. All right, so far, even though I'm running much higher on the track, these guys are not passing me. 1 and 2, it just feels anywhere in this second groove between the two seams just feels amazing on the truck. Turn 3 is a little bit more difficult to run higher. The truck doesn't feel quite as nice up here as turns 1 and 2, but it's still
The gap's now 0.9.
feels a little bit tighter to run up here than it does in 1 and 2. That's just simply the entry, you know, the shape of the track overall and your transitions into and off the corners.
You're in the lead.
Thank you very much for that, for that confirmation. The fact that I was seeing nobody out in front of me, that gave me a clue. Alright, but I keep glancing in my mirror because, number one, he's not telling me anything about what's going on behind me. Even though I have requested for him to. I don't think we're going to get into lap traffic within the 35 laps that I intend to run on this stint, but you never know.
Behind's increased to 1.3.
There we go. That's what I needed to know. He finally started listening. He should be happier. He's been passive-aggressive with us the entire time.
That was 32.8.
Now that we're finally leading, he should be very happy
Lap
with
times
us.
are pretty consistent.
Alright, so it seems like the gap to Majeski is keeping pretty consistent. Yeah, truck's starting to get really tight over in 3 and 4, trying to run that higher groove. I'm going to have to back up the entry more to really keep from destroying the right front tire.
32.8.
The turns 1 and 2 are just still very
The
comfortable.
gap behind is now 1.4 seconds.
Oh, 1.4. Okay, so we gained a little bit. So we're actually pulling away. Odd that we would still be pulling away, that we're given that we're this deep into the run, and I'm running higher. Definitely not running the fastest lap times that we could run by running this far up the track. So turns 1 and 2 are amazing right now as to how the truck feels.
Okay, Brian, your engine temperatures are now back to normal.
Of course they are. 3 and 4, however, are just tight. I'm just pushing the nose through 3 and 4.
Right front tire's worn out.
Yes, indeed, I'm sure it is. For
The
multiple
gap
reasons.
behind is now 1.4.
1.4. Okay, so it's somewhere in that 1.2 to 1.4 range. He's holding steady with us. But of course, when it's time to make pit stops, yeah, that's where things are going to get interesting. Because at some point, if things stay green, and I expect that they will, then we will get into some lap traffic. How we get through lap traffic compared to the AI is going to be huge. And of course, the most important thing, how do we get on and off pit road? Can I find our pit stall? That's always a huge issue, and I have to laugh about it. Because for whatever reason, I can't find anything that will really tell me, it's like, oh yeah, there's your pit stall. Because the lollipop is nothing that I can really see. And of course, the draw distance is also an issue because of the graphics options. And then of course, we've also got the guy holding the lollipop. He's out there, but he's not that helpful either because he doesn't draw in early enough for me to really be able to see him in all the congestion. So yeah, it makes things very interesting when it comes time to make pits. Alright, so where are we? What lap are we? Oh, we're on lap 30. Okay, so we're getting close to pit stops. Which is good because our right front tires probably had all it wants right now. Yeah, 3 and 4 I'm having to get out of the gas on entry and then also get out of the gas a little bit, just breathe it a little bit in the middle of the corner.
The pit window is now open.
Alright, pit window is open. I'm going to start glancing up a little bit on the screen because that's where the messages show up, because the AI will tell us when they're pitting. They're nice about that. And that's good to know when they're going to start pitting. Do they start pitting before me? My guess is that most of them will pit after me. And I say that because generally...
Got one inside, clear inside.
Yeah, there we go. The clear inside that somebody's on pit road. No, maybe not. Never mind. Majeski has caught us.
Stay right there.
Oh, that's even better.
Clear inside.
I'm just out here riding, not thinking anything about where Majeski was.
Inside.
Yeah, this right front tire's gone.
Clear to the bottom.
Oh, that's so awesome. The last thing I want, as I will continue to say, is an easy victory.
P2.
And so, for multiple reasons, this doesn't appear as though it's going to be an easy victory. I was worried when we got out front, but by changing our lineup, yeah, this thing just really, really on the nose. Going through the corner, so we're going to start to fall back a little bit here as we come to the pit stops. That's also going to give us something to keep in mind as we come into the pits and then where we come off the pit lane.
Okay, Brian, lap times are pretty consistent.
Clear. Got one inside. Keep high.
Because I'm going to plan on being pretty slow on our pits, pit cycle. Don't really want to push the limit on entry or exit. And then, of course, we already know pretty much that I'm going to have trouble trying to find our pit stall anyway. So I'm planning on the whole thing being pretty slow on our side. And we'll see what that means for us ultimately on the track. Are we having to hunt these guys back down? So we see that these guys are faster on the long run. They are pulling back away. All right, we are on lap 35 now. So I'm going to plan on coming in probably next time by.
Inside.
Part of me, though, I must say, wants to stay out a little while and let these guys get a little further out in front of us.
That's halfway. We think about 11 laps remaining on this tank.
And the farther they get ahead of us, the more fun it will be to try to track them back down for the lead once this all cycles through. All right, here we go.
Pit lane speed limit is 50 miles per hour. Okay, Brian, we'll fuel you to the end of the race.
Boxing 10.
All right, you heard the man.
5, 3, 2, 1. Right here.
All right, I picked up the lollipop guy that time. That was much better. All right, so here we are pitting right at halfway.
That's it, go.
And again, I'm not going to try to be really fast leaving the pits either. Of course, the pit limiter.
There's a car behind. Stay inside the line.
Pit limiter helps us out with that. So we're just trying to be really smooth here because I really want to see where we come out. So I was very conservative on pit entry as far as our speed. And now we'll find out when these guys pit. Because I got a feeling that most of them are going to go all the way to the end of the fuel, which will be probably, what, 6 to 8 laps from here?
You're running last. Right, the guy ahead of us is Wood.
Got one inside.
Okay,
You could just hear
we're
it.
in the lucky dog position right now.
Clear to the bottom.
All right, so obviously we're hoping that no caution comes out right now. There's our good buddy
Clear
DiBenedetto.
outside.
All right, it always makes me feel a little nervous going to the inside of these guys so close to pit stops.
Stay on the bottom.
But I have not seen any messages from anybody that they were pitting. That's why I'm still okay going to their inside.
Inside.
Now, of course, right now,
Go there.
us being on the new tires, we can just blow right by these guys. I'm still going to try to keep it up into this second groove a lot, because I really want this to be an interesting finish. I don't want to run away with this thing. Alright, so nobody else is pitted yet. But again, about 45 laps is what you can run on fuel. And we'll see who pushes it to the very edge, who comes in a few laps early, and so forth. And I'm sure there'll be a few that will actually push it beyond 45 laps. That wouldn't surprise me either. Alright, we're at lap 41. So I would estimate within the next 2 to 3 laps we're going to start seeing.
Wood in. The gap is now 19.
Oh, there we go. Looks like the 75.
Clear inside.
Nope, I thought he was coming into the pits the way he slowed down mid-corner there, but...
Got one
23.
inside.
That's one thing I do like that the AI do. And of course, all of this is determined by their ratings. I mean, they can do a very good job of certain things, or they can do a very terrible job, just depending on things like their aggression. The lower their aggression, the more room they're going to give you, and the more conservative they're going to be with their line, and how much room they give between cars, so and all of that type of thing. But I pushed the aggression a little bit, but I backed way off. We are nowhere near 100 aggression on any of these guys because I've had issues with that in the past.
Inside.
So I never generally go higher than 80, maybe 85 for some of the more aggressive
Your
guys.
temperature looks quite high. That lap was at
Got one
1.7.
There's the bottom.
Alright, so right now these are easy laps for us, because everything is so spread out. We don't have to really worry about getting into a lot of traffic and slowing us down a lot, so we can just, for the most part, just breeze through here. And again, I'm running a little bit higher line. Takes a little bit off of our pace as well. Still haven't seen any messages, and we're right at the pit window.
Inside.
You're reeling. Wood in. The gap's now 12 seconds.
There's the bottom.
The gap is now 12 seconds. Well, that's good. Just a slight gap of 12 seconds for the 24th position truck, who also happens to be the number 24.
Okay, Brian. The next car is Wood.
All right, I'm looking for messages. When are these guys pitting? I mean, obviously they're going to have to, but they're staying out longer than I thought they would. Obviously, the deeper you get into a run on tires, the more time you're spending off the gas, so that's less fuel you're using, and longer ultimately that you can run, but you would think you would want to split this in half. The longer these guys run, the more intriguing it becomes to me to see how this turns out. Obviously, they don't fall off as much as I did on the older tires. So if I would have continued out and continued running, I would have just gotten slower and slower and slower. And those guys were still slowing down, but nowhere near as much as me. So now we're going to find out how their strategy compares to mine as far as tires, and that will maybe influence what I do in the future, depending on how this works out. But we'll get there first and see how this goes. Because right now, of course, nobody else is pitted. We're still running last. There we go. Majeski is pitting, who I believe is the leader. Unless they have swapped positions.
Got one outside. Clear outside.
You're reeling. Wood in. The gap's now 5.9 seconds.
All right, Zane Smith coming in. All right, so these guys coming in around 50, right? Yeah, 49. That 49 to 50 is where these guys are going to start pitting. That's going to start to move us up the grid. Now you can see, again, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but John Hunter's coming in, the truck directly in front of us.
Got one inside. Clear.
So now that these guys are going to have the benefit of new tires.
Leader's pitting now. 20 to go to the track.
Oh yeah, I see several
The
there.
lap time was at 32.1.
Several on pit road right now, and they're going to have about 20 laps to go on their tires.
Smith is leading the race.
So let's see where we come out.
Second place.
Yeah, a lot more messages popping
Smith is
in.
pitting.
Jordan Anderson says he's coming into the pits now. But yeah, everybody seems to be getting onto pit road without an issue. Oh yeah, look at that. There is a flurry of activity on pit road now. So around 49 to 51 is where everybody starts to come in. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Not exactly sure if I could make it that long on fuel, even with the pace slowing down that much, but I've never really tried to time that out either, so I have no idea ultimately. All right, so we're up to 12th is where we're showing right now. And of course, that's going to be very fluid over the next few laps.
Good consistency. Keep them coming.
So I'm not going to worry a whole lot about where we are position-wise until I know that everybody has pitted, which should be in the next lap or two. For example, this 56 here, who should definitely be faster than us because we have about 15 or so laps. Yep, still see they're 4 or 5 coming off pit road now.
4.9.
So this is the part of the race when everybody is doing the green flag pit stops. During this whole cycle, you just have to focus on what you're doing. And just know that, you know, once everybody is done, you get an opportunity to see. But right now, I don't see any of the cars that we have been fighting with. You know, I don't see Majeski or Zane Smith, John Hunter. We saw John Hunter right as he went into the pits, but not when he came out. So right now, it's showing us in first.
Got one inside.
Oh, hello. Somebody got into our...
Clear.
Okay, excuse me there, Derek Krause. Apparently I was in his way. I'm just glad he didn't race, because he definitely tried to move me
That car is not a
on
lead lap
the
car.
straightaway,
Keep it
by
up,
the way.
Keep it up. Keep digging. Got one
The guy behind
inside.
you anyway. The gap's now 3.6. You're leading.
Clear inside.
Okay, so now, this is the reverse. When we first came out of the pits, we were blowing by everybody. Now it's their turn to blow by us. So let's see how many come back by us. Right now they're just putting themselves back on the lead lap. That was 16th position. The 51 truck of Kofoid. So 16 trucks now on the lead lap. But you can hear me, I'm having to get out of the gas now on corner entry. So we've definitely slowed down. We've lost some tire. So where is second place? How close are they to us? And are they going to be able to make a run with about 12, 13 laps left in the race? How far are we out front right now?
Your engine temperatures are now back to normal.
But as I've said before, when we've done this particular strategy of splitting the stage into 2 equal halves, this is the best strategy for us
Ryan,
because of the long-term tire wear
Smith behind is now
and our fall.
2.2 seconds.
Still there. Keep high. Stay right there.
So what you're getting now is just more trucks back on the lead lap. What I'm looking for is second
That
place.
car is not a lead lap car.
That's what I'm looking for. How is this all going to turn out? As we get within 10 laps to go here this time by. Ooh, look out now. These guys are just wanting to fight it out.
That car is a lap down. Then it goes to strike.
All right, 10 to go. Still don't see the leader behind us. All of these trucks are just coming to
Smith behind
unlap
is now
themselves.
2.1 seconds.
All right, I hear what he's telling me is as to where second place is behind us. Let me get out of the way here. These guys are coming by.
That lap was at 32.7.
All right, now we're going to find out whose strategy is going to come out on top. Those guys really have the upper hand because of their long run speed. They can stay out. And then once they come into the pits for new tires, I mean, they don't have to worry about any more tire wear because they're not going to be on those new tires long enough for it to matter.
Keep it on top. Clear inside.
But for us, it's just trying to cut the
Clear
damage.
inside.
All right, still haven't seen second place on the standings. I was expecting Lawless Allen to come by us, but apparently he's having a hard time.
That's good consistency. Keep it up. The gap to Smith behind is now 1.6.
Ooh, 1.6. Ooh, that's getting close. That's getting close. And we're coming to about 5 to go. Oh, this is going to get real close.
Got one inside.
So I'm just trying to be consistent while leaving these guys a little bit of room at the bottom. If they've got enough speed to unlap themselves, which they should.
Keep high. Still there.
All right, now
Clear to the bottom.
he's about 1.5 seconds behind, and I think he said it was Zane Smith. Of course, the longer these guys go without being able to unlap themselves, they're just losing tire and losing time.
5 laps to go.
All right, there we go. 5 laps. So I'm just doing my thing here. Not really trying to block anybody. But at the same time, I'm not just going to move up out of the way.
Right front tire's worn out.
I would expect nothing less. And I definitely believe him that it's wearing out. He didn't have to convince me.
Keep high. Stay high. Stay high.
The gap to Smith behind is now 1.5 seconds.
1.5. Okay. So it's holding
Keep high.
a little bit better. I won't say it's holding steady because he's still gaining on me a little bit here, I believe. But he's now gaining tenths of a second per lap instead of, you know, half a second, 0.6 per
Stay
lap.
right there.
So he's lost some off of his tires as well.
You've just done a 33.1.
Keep it on top. Still there. Clear to the bottom.
Whoever that is that's on our inside is just not going to give up.
Inside.
They're persistent. I'll give them that.
Stay right there.
All right, I glanced up in the mirror and I think I saw Zane Smith.
Come on, Brian. 2 to go. Stay focused. We can win this.
Stay right there.
That's good consistency. Keep it up.
All right, who is that? All right, is that Ickes down there? I think I saw the 98 on the side of that truck. Of course, you can't tell the difference between him and Ben Rhodes a lot of times. Not with these paint schemes.
Got one inside.
So I'm just trying to be as consistent as I can.
Bring it home. One to go.
All right, one more lap.
Stay right there.
Where is the yellow truck?
That car
All right,
is a
he's
lap
back there a
down.
bit.
Stay
So
high.
I think we're
One more
okay.
lap. Keep it together. We'll win this.
I like that. Keep it together. That's what you want to hear from your crew chief.
Stay right there.
The gap to Smith behind is now 1.9 seconds.
Oh, okay, so he has slid backwards.
There's the bottom.
Oh, are we making this happen? All right, leave me alone, big guy. You can have your lap back if it's worth that much to you. Because we
Well done, mate.
have
You
just
made them all
brought
look silly
home
today.
the checkered flag. Wow. I had my doubts there. Of course, we didn't really know how everything was going to turn out until the very end. Because those guys didn't pit until about 20 to go. So they were way ahead of me on tires there at the end. And I really had the idea that they were going to run me down, at least a couple of them. I was waiting to hear that Majeski and Zane Smith and some of those guys were really coming in fast. So, of course, we need to stop here.
Checkered
No
flag.
burnout,
Race is
of
over.
course, because these engines cost a lot of money. But we got to stop here because we got to go get that checkered flag and wave to the crowd. So that's going to do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this
Well
as
done,
much
Brian.
as I
Great
did.
win. You deserved that today.
Our very first cup victory, or excuse me, truck victory, getting a little ahead of myself there. Our very first truck victory comes at Las Vegas.